If you don't live under a rock and you've been on the internet in the last few years, you would have seen that Indians have become the internet's punching ground. You look at any Instagram reel or many Instagram reels, what are the comments? The comments are making fun of Indians, saying things like Indians shit on the street, and if it's an Indian person talking or anything to do with Indian culture, it's just people making fun of that person, right? And I can see that this is a problem that's gotten worse. In fact, we don't see it with any other ethnicity, really. We don't see it with black people. We don't see it with Asians. In fact, if somebody were to do the same thing with a black person, what would we see? We would probably see a lot of outcry. We would see people scream of racism. But with Indians, well, basically, it's become the scapegoat of the internet. This collective, hey, let's point fingers at that group of people. Let's make fun of them. Let's bully them. Now, in this video, I'm not going to talk about why this is happening. I'm not going to go into that. What I am going to go into is the effect that this can have on you, and it can have on your life if you allow it. And that's why I think it's so incredibly important to talk about and to think about. If you are Indian or if you are a brown person, this is essential to know. So the first thing is, you see people and they look down upon you because of the color of your skin. Now, I am not born in India, so I don't actually know what it's like for people in India, for guys in India. So I'm just speaking from my perspective as somebody born in New Zealand and is living in Australia right now. So I'm born and raised in New Zealand. And what we can notice, even as somebody that is born and raised in a Western country, is that Westerners look down upon people that are brown, that are Indian, that are different, right? You don't fit in. I grew up around mainly white people. And so, even though there was no, quote unquote overt racism, there was still an energy of you being looked down upon. This is actually this is negative, because if you take upon this, if you feel like they're looking down upon me, and you don't even, let's say you don't, okay, let me start again. Let's say you don't even realize it. You just go through your life, and there's lots of little experiences, and the white people are treated better. Or people of other races are treated better. And you're just not. Subconsciously, what happens is you start to internalize this, and create a belief system in your mind. The belief system is, I'm not worthy. The belief system is, I'm not good enough, or there's something about me that's flawed and defective. And what we see here is, this has resulted in the personal power of people that are Indian being reduced. In the language of shadow work, you would say the projection of the other person, the energy they're sending out, the way they're seeing you, their projection, their belief system is becoming your introjection. In other words, their projection, you are now saying, okay, I agree with that. I'm going to fall into your frame, and now I'm going to see myself how you see me. And I think this shows up in a few different ways. So it shows up in terms of work situations for many people, right? Especially, maybe less so for my generation, but talking about my parents' generation, coming to a foreign country as immigrants, having an accent, and simply by having an accent, it's like you have a target on your back. And because of that, you play small. You don't want to stand out. You don't feel as confident about yourself. Well, what effect does this have on the next generation looking at now? You're brought up feeling small. You're brought up seeing your parents sorry, I'll repeat this. You're brought up seeing your parents play small. Maybe they get bullied at work. Maybe they have, maybe they don't have the same level of confidence that they would have had if they were in the majority ethnicity, if they were the white person, right? So then the child starts to take on this belief system automatically, without even realizing it. They behave in a way where they feel inferior to white people, and white people continue to reinforce this. And I'm not saying all white people, that I'm saying the collective that is holding the energy of white superiority or other ethnicity superiority. So now this gets incorporated. So what can we do about this, right? Well, first thing is to realize and recognize it. We realize it, we recognize it, we can shift from it. We can say, okay, now I am going to question how I show up in these interactions. Now, I would say one of the biggest impacts this could have is actually even less so on work now, even though I gave that as an example, but it would be in the social setting, in the dating dating setting, because many ethnicities have a prejudice against you being Indian. There is a lot of, you've probably seen it on the internet, right? People looking down upon Indians because they DM girls on Instagram and Facebook, and then it's kind of a meme. You see all these screenshots of things Indians say. And honestly, it's probably just a small percentage, or it's a percentage of people. And now this is being extrapolated onto everybody. Very sad. This kind of feeling that other people are now putting onto you, if you hold on to this is going to be damaging. You don't want to do that. So you want to see it, you want to recognize it and say, wow, okay, that's your belief system. That's the way you are seeing it. But I'm going to embody worthiness because I don't need to do anything to be worthy. Right? Here's another pattern. Often as a brown kid, we get this idea that's planted in us that we must be successful or offer something of value for people to like us. Because we associate things with like grades, right? Like getting a good grade. If I get a good grade, others will validate me. Others will be happy with me, because that's such an integral part of brown culture, is being successful. Well, this program is not beneficial in the social setting, and it's not beneficial in the school setting, although it does make people temporarily do very well, or can make people do well, but definitely not helpful in the social setting, which it creates this deep program of internalized shame. I'm not good enough. I need to do something. I need to prove myself to others. And when I prove something to others, then they're going to like me. So socially, yes. I talked about dating, and then I talked about social. We want to shift out of that energy and get into divine worthiness. There is nothing I need to do, nothing I need to prove to anybody else to be worthy. To be worthy of love, to be worthy of appreciation, to be worthy of, talking to or approaching a woman you find attractive. Whether she be Indian or another ethnicity, whether she be a white girl, right? There's nothing I need to do to prove that I'm worthy to do that. I can do that. And if they like it, great. If they don't like it, if they look down upon you, that is on them. Now realize with the rejection, there's two types of rejection, right? functional and dysfunctional rejection. A lot of the rejection out there in the world is dysfunctional. It's like people saying, oh, no thank you, thank you next, right? So the dysfunctional, wounded type of rejection, or heavy projection-based rejection. But if you're getting rejected a lot, it's also a good indicator that there's something maybe internally inside you that you can work on. That's where you start to gain the functional aspect. You start to look at that. Okay, there's something I can work on here. Something that I could do differently. So incorporating and understanding both of these, and as you progress upon your journey, and let's say you get rejected a lot, you'll start to realize when it's something you can change, something you can think about, or it's just their own problem, their own issue, and you can say, okay, I recognize it, I'm stepping back, it's not my problem, it's not my problem to solve, it's not my problem to figure out, it's not a grade on a test, it's not getting that A mark, it's not succeeding, because success is something that you decide for yourself. So you decide that success with what you want to do. So now circling back to the wider discussion, right? Which is how Indians are seen, how Indians are perceived on the internet. Now, let's start changing this. And we start changing this by showing up as our best selves, not to prove anything to other people, but to realize I don't have to be held back by other people, right? Here's a simple story. If other people think of you like, oh, this guy's a loser, and let's say you believe that, and you start acting like that, everybody's going to see you as that loser. Everyone is going to start to see you as being invisible. In fact, they'll treat you worse. They might treat you like shit, right? They might treat you awfully. And you hold your head down, really anxious, really nervous. People might internalize that or relate that to, oh, he's this type of guy, he's that type of guy. Or he's this type of Indian guy. He's this type of shy nerd, right? But if you do the opposite, if you have a shift, an internal shift, it starts with this internal shift. You change your state by knowing your self-worth, by deciding this is who I am, this is how I expect to be treated, and this is how I treat myself. You go into that interaction, one or two things are going to happen, right? They're either going to fall into that frame, and they're going to be like, okay, yeah, he does believe in himself. He does have that self-worth. He has that conviction. He has that confidence. And people see you how you see yourself often. If you see yourself like that, they'll buy into that and be like, okay, he's got a really strong, solid frame. I tried to test him. I tried to give him some shit. I tried to put him down. But he's unshakable. He doesn't allow me to put him in a box. So they'll buy into that frame. They'll say, okay, yeah, that's who he is. That's who she is. The other option is, yeah, maybe they're like, okay, even though you are grounded and confident and feel that internal self-worth, they still might not like it, and they might, still try to, make fun of you or push you away or whatever, or reject you. But it doesn't matter anymore, because you know internally, this is who I am. This is what I believe about myself. And so you can walk away from that situation and find somebody else, another group, another set of people that would buy into that frame. The question you want to ask yourself is, do you want to continue to buy into the frame of other people, other bitter people in life or on the internet that are putting you down, or putting down an ethnicity, putting down a way of expression, putting down a culture, trivializing a culture that is thousands of years old with these amazing, artistic, beautiful cultural expressions? Do you want to put yourself down and try to be something else? Or do you want to dive into who you are at the core of your being? Knowing that you can decide who you want to be. You can decide how you want to be judged. And if others judge you, you can't decide that's for sure. But you can judge how you see yourself. You can change how you judge yourself to a friendlier, more wholesome perspective. So circling back onto this problem, right? Indians being seen as this small group, this group to be made fun of. Well, it just starts with you stepping into your power, not buying into those frames. And when people start to see that and it starts to become a collective, well then, that's where the magic happens, guys. So, if you like this video, if you have any thoughts, let me know down below. I'm very curious to hear your perspective. Peace.